Welcome back to BattleBots Armageddon Season 2. We're back again, and we are on Episode 9. And if you haven't seen Episodes 1 through 8, please watch them because you want to keep up to date. But anyways, I'm looking forward to this episode. It's going to be exciting. Here we have our beautiful fight card, which I'm so excited. This thing is stacked, and we're officially completely into round 2. There's no round 1 fights in here. We have a few robots making their debut because their first fights weren't televised, but this is all comebacks. We have robots who might want to make a really good comeback with robots such as Switchback, Sharko, Petunia, and then we have some great matchups with robots who are looking pretty good, such as Mad Catter versus Valkyrie, and of course this all leads up to our main event, Light Force and Carbide. A dream matchup that you probably would only see in BattleBots Armageddon, but let's get into our first fight of the night. We have Whiplash facing off against Riptide. Let's check it out. Both of these robots unfortunately had their struggles in their first round matchups, but they're both excellent machines that have a lot of street cred. We have Whiplash, who they won their first fight, but they won it by a split decision that some people didn't agree with. They fought Gigabyte, and while Gigabyte did do pretty much all the damage, it just wasn't controlled enough to the judges, I suppose. But Whiplash faces off against Riptide, who's coming off of a loss to the iconic Tantrum, but that's still a loss nonetheless, and they had some pretty good moments, but they just couldn't keep up. But the big question is, can they keep up here against Whiplash? It's a bit less potent of a spinner than Tantrum, but it's arguably just as good of a driver. So we'll have to see. I'm looking forward to it. Let's dig into this. Here we have Riptide. We have Whiplash. These robots want to make an impression, and I'm here for it. I don't know what way this fight's gonna go.
Two very quick, very well-driven machines here, going head-to-head. Whiplash already in trouble. Immediately Riptide up on its side.
Riptide seemed to have a problem with this season so far. It happened in the Tantrum fight in the beginning as well. But both these robots are showing some promise early on for sure.
Absolutely, Riptide continuing on the defensive here. Whiplash pushing it around. Once again, Riptide almost stranded on its side again.
Oh, there's a hit from Riptide, though.
Big hit there on the side, aiming for the wheels.
Yeah, Whiplash is driving this fight very brilliantly, but they are taking some big damage from Riptide, like there, for example. Oh, almost got stranded again. Okay.
Riptide's gyro not doing today. Here, good hit there. There goes the wheel, or part of a wheel.
Yeah, thankfully Whiplash is doubled up, but I mean, a few more hits like that and they won't be able to move. But Whiplash is still driving this fight very well, so this is still anyone's game.
Absolutely, Riptide.
Speaking of raising
there
wheels.
goes the full wheel now.
Oops.
That right front and gone on Whiplash.
Yeah, Riptide is definitely ahead in the damage category, but I'd probably say Whiplash is ahead in the control category, so if this goes to the judges, this could really go either way.
Absolutely. Then, I'm not sure if they're going to be a knockout here, but if this don't go to the judges, like you said, it will be very close. I do not envy our judges having to judge their fight.
Yeah. But Whiplash lost its spinner. This is not looking good for them now. Riptide getting another big hit on Whiplash, and it's over. He's out. So this fight was quite a nail-biter. I mean, Whiplash definitely had the control going on in the first half of the fight, but Riptide's damage unfortunately just kept adding up, and eventually it met with Whiplash's demise. Pretty good win on Riptide's part, and you know, you love to see it. And what a fight that was. Riptide dominated, and looked very good. If they keep that momentum up, they could be looking at a top seed. Whiplash is down to 1-1 as well, but arguably a weaker 1-1. But it is Whiplash. They're fully capable of bouncing back and showing what they're made of, and I'm looking forward to it here on BattleBots Armageddon Season 2. But moving on, we gotta go on to our next fight, where Switchback faces off against Captain Shredderator. What a matchup this is gonna be. Captain Shredderator is off of a win that could be argued as a questionable win against Free Shipping, where they won against them in a split decision. That said, it was still a win, and they still had some pretty good moments, but their control is something that's to be questioned. They're facing off against a robot that's 0-1 right now in Switchback. They face off against the multi-bot Jaeger in their first fight, and unfortunately, Jaeger managed to shear off its articulating drum spinner, which is something I never expected to see, but it happened, and then Jaeger just proceeded to flip them over. But Switchback definitely has potential. That drum spinner does hit pretty good, and they could make waves. But Captain Shredderator is going to be a tricky opponent, because full body spinners are something that I don't know if Switchback has ever faced up against, so it'll be an interesting test to see what happens. So let's get into it. Here we have Switchback, Captain Shredderator. Switchback is unfortunately sitting on a loss against Jaeger, and Captain Shredderator with a win against Free Shipping. So who knows what direction it's going to go. Captain Shredderator just kind of existing. Oh, it's a hit on the Switchback. But I think that took a piece off of Captain Shredderator. Oh, big hit!
Big hit there.
You'd love to see it.
One of the craziest hits we've seen all year. Captain Shredderator coming back now. Switchback. Actually, they had a hard time against Jaeger.
Yes, they did. Switchback just trying to use its articulated drum spinner to damage Captain Shredderator, which they are doing. They are taking some pieces off, but they're also losing some pieces of their arm. Captain Shredderator definitely getting some damage done, unfortunately. I don't know who that piece was from, but this is definitely an interesting matchup, and I don't know what route to go with this so far. I mean, we're almost halfway through, so maybe the tone will change, but Captain Shredderator getting some good hits on Switchback.
Not too sure how many teeth Shredderator has left.
Oh, then there was another tooth. They won less now.
Yeah, all the little pieces. No, if you look,
Ooh.
yeah. Switchback's failing here as well.
Yeah, but Captain Shredderator is looking pretty beat. I mean, they're definitely showing a lot of aggression and some damage of their own, but it looks like every time they hit, it looks like Captain Shredderator is the one getting pieces taken off of it, and who knows how many teeth are left on that thing at this point.
If any, I think I'm only seeing maybe one left on Shredderator.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Shredderator, but they are staying on top of Switchback and getting some good hits of their own, so we'll see. I mean, it's looking like this is definitely one of the closest fights of the season, I would say. 30 seconds left. I don't know if this is going to end in a knockout.
I can't imagine it will. I don't think Switchback has the power to do so. Shredderator has lost all of its teeth by now.
Yeah, it's just basically a wedge. And 4 seconds left. This fight, it's going to go to the judges. One last hit there. Captain Shredderator definitely got a lot of really good hits here. Switchback was no doubt aggressive, and Captain Shredderator's control definitely is still put into question in my opinion, but that said, hits like that are definitely initiated by Captain Shredder, I would say. But while Switchback did get a pretty good fair share of damage in, I would definitely say that Captain Shredder did more damage. And those hits are just precious, but we'll see what the judges have to say. And we have a split decision. Judge Smurf scored the battle in favor of Switchback. Judge Zaza scored the battle in favor of Captain Shredder. And Judge Green Square scored the battle in favor of our winner, Captain Shredder. I can't say that I disagree. The Switchback put up a pretty good fight, and while they do move on to 0-2, I do see potential in them. Captain Shredder moves on to 2-0. Maybe they could get their first ever undefeated record. Who knows? They're improved from last year, and you love to see it. But let's move on to the big robot fight. We have Chomp, we have Mammoth. Let's look into this. Here we have Chomp. Such an incredible machine, and the only walker in the field, 500 pounds. This thing is humongous and has a really badass hammer. Unfortunately, it got flipped around every which way by Lucky, who managed to flip it, which is impressive in itself. But I think that this robot definitely has some potential. They face off against Mammoth, another one of the largest robots. We love pairing the large robots together. Mammoth, unfortunately, just struggled right out the gate. They came out aggressive in their first fight against Kronos, but shortly after just got flipped over. So it'll be interesting to see, because I don't think that Chomp has the flipping capabilities, but I guess there's only one way to find out. Let's dig in. Chomp and we have Mammoth, two of the biggest competitors in the field, both of which sitting at 0-1 currently. They just go at it right away. There you go. That's one way to do it.
With a
pushing
most unique robot in the field, you got Chomp, the only walker in the field.
Yeah, and Mammoth, which is probably the largest wheeled robot. But Mammoth's already taken some pieces off of Chomp, and I don't think they know exactly how to approach it. They're just kind of... Because I don't think they can lift Chomp, because I mean that is a 500-pound machine. And oh, Chomp's hammerhead comes off. This could be Mammoth's fight. And Chomp does a suplex on that Mammoth. What? That's the last robot I would expect to take a robot to suplex City, but apparently Chomp can do that. Oh, okay.
Chomp hooked Mammoth's frame with its axe and pulled it into a suplex.
Now Chomp has to walk up and capitalize on this, because Mammoth's on their side, and as we saw in their prior unaired fight against Kronos, that was a death sentence for them, unfortunately. There's Chomp just
Mammoth
pushing.
He can right itself here. Chomp using a nub of an axe, beating away.
They even though they're a walking robot, they're still getting some pushes in.
Of course, walking robot not necessarily known for their drive power.
Apparently Chomp's managing to do it. I mean, I guess Mammoth is half the weight, so that would make sense. And Mammoth is back on their wheels. Can they capitalize on this fight? Oh, doing some damage to Chomp's upper half. That big John Deere tractor taking some damage. And
Mammoth Mammoth over again, back up. Surely the only hope for Mammoth here would be to try to get Chomp flipped over.
Yeah, and I don't know if they can do that. I don't know if they have the power to actually get that flip in. I mean, we saw in Chomp's last fight, Lucky was able to do it moderately easily, but, you know, pneumatic flipper compared to what Mammoth has, they're two different ballparks, really.
Almost more like a spinner than a flipper.
Yeah, we've seen Mammoth do some cool things in the past, but they're not doing a whole lot now. I mean, they did take some pieces off of Chomp, but other than that, not much more to say. Mammoth is... I mean, at least Mammoth's not on their back. They're not knocked out. Not yet, at least. I mean, who knows where this fight's gonna go. Mammoth's just trying to control themselves while being on their side. Unfortunately, the rules say that as long as you have movement, that's fair play. We don't have the crab walking rule anymore or anything.
I'm trying to bring the flamethrowers into play on Mammoth.
And some burns in.
Drake shotting Mammoth with the flamethrowers in the way.
Yeah, and this has been quite a fight. With 10 seconds left on the clock, I don't think that this is going to end it. Oh, just at the end. If that had happened about 30 seconds earlier, this would have been a KO for Chomp, but it's going to go to the judges. Mammoth no doubt came out aggressively, pushing Chomp into the walls, at least as well as they could, even sniping Chomp's hammerhead, which made me think that they might have had the fight in the bag. But then Chomp did this insane move where they did a suplex on Mammoth, which is honestly one of the most glorious things I've ever seen. And from there, Mammoth just kind of struggled to get back on its wheels. And even when it did get back on its wheels, it would gyro onto its side again shortly after. And there wasn't much they could do. However, we have our 3 judges, and we have a 17-point scoring system. 7 points for damage, 5 points for aggression and control. And we're going to see who won this. And we have a judge's decision in, and we have a unanimous decision. The winner of this fight, Chomp. No surprise there. Good job, Chomp. And that suplex was insane. Chomp moves on to 1-1 after a fairly dominant win here, and Mammoth unfortunately is severely struggling, but they have 2 more fights to go, and hopefully they could turn it around. I mean, Mammoth has done impressive things before, so we'll have to see. But moving on, I'm looking forward to this fight, the Midway Major. We have Mad Catter and we have Valkyrie, 2 very iconic robots that I've always wanted to see fight. Now I finally get to. Both these robots are sitting at 1-0. Let's start off with Valkyrie, who unfortunately was being dominated through their entire fight against Duck, but that said, they still got the knockout with a second left on the clock, no less, and that just proves how potent that undercutter is, because Duck is widely known as quite the tank who can take some pretty severe hits, so Mad Catter has to look out for that when they try to get underneath Valkyrie and control them. That said, we also have Mad Catter, who's also at 1-0 after a pretty dominant win against Blip, and what a beauty it was with their vertical spinner, their lifting arm, and that really crazy control that they have. Mad Catter is a force to be reckoned with, and I'm looking forward to it. Let's see how this fight goes. Here we have Mad Catter and Valkyrie both sitting pretty at 1-0 after some pretty good wins. Mad Catter taking out Blip and Valkyrie taking out Duck last second.
Ready. Mad Catter found itself on top with Valkyrie. Valkyrie gyroing and throwing its way around.
Indeed, indeed. And Mad Catter they're definitely controlling this fight very well, but I'm pretty sure just by controlling it, they're taking a lot of damage. It's like a replay of the Duck fight, basically, but at least Mad Catter has their own spinner and a pretty good lifter to hopefully balance it out. Nope, there's a big hit.
Over. Gruff now has, or rather, sorry, not Gruff, Mad Catter rather.
They're the same robot.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Oh, there we go. Valkyrie's out of the arena. Are they done? I don't think they can get back in, so Mad Catter definitely showcasing some excellent driving here, and it looks like they're gonna be sitting pretty at an elusive 2-0 spot. Good on you, Mad Catter. And they're out. We had a short but sweet fight here. Mad Catter being very aggressive right out the gate, just knocking Valkyrie everywhere, and they looked great doing it for sure. They weren't fearful of that big scary undercutter at all. They just went at it, went for it, and eventually knocked Valkyrie out of the arena in what is honestly such a beautiful shot. Looking good this year, and Mad Catter moves on to 2-0, where they're looking very good for the bracket so far. Valkyrie moves down to 1-1, but I don't think their season's over yet. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. Next up, we have a fight between two very unique robots, a Nightmare and Two-Headed Death Flamingo. Let's see what these two are made of. Both of these robots are staring at out of the arena losses too. Robots who are looking pretty good this season. We have Two-Headed Death Flamingo, who got flipped out of the arena by Gruff, or rather they flipped themselves out of the arena. And we have Nightmare, who got knocked out of the arena by Deep Six in our series opener. That said, they're both robots that I think have a lot of potential. I mean, neither really had time to show what they were made of. And they're both unique designs. Nightmare with the big vertical spinner, and we have Two-Headed Death Flamingo with the dual hammer setup. So it'll be interesting to see what direction that this fight goes, and well, I'll stop yammering, let's just get into it. Here we have an interesting matchup, two very fascinating machines with Nightmare and Two-Headed Death Flamingo. Both at 0-1 right now, so a win here is mandatory for both. Oh, Death Flamingo just flips Nightmare immediately.
That's a unique use for the Two-Headed Death Flamingo. Working like a front hinge flipper there, due to how tall Nightmare is.
Their strategy is very intriguing. I mean, they want to avoid that spinner, but they don't care, it seems like. It's just, you know, going for it. And so far, they're definitely winning this. Oh, slamming Nightmare into the wall.
I think part of the idea behind Two-Headed Death Flamingo here is Nightmare losing to Deep Six in round one. Maybe they think that Nightmare doesn't stand up anymore, damage-wise, with that weapon.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think they would be
sure.
employing the same strategy with someone like Deep Six.
Yeah, no doubt, but it seems like they're doing a little bit of damage, but not nearly enough to make an impact, because Two-Headed Death Flamingo pretty much has all the control in this fight at this point, and they're getting some pretty good hits with those hammerheads. Oh, but one of their hammerheads did fall off, so they are taking some damage from Nightmare, but is it enough is the real question.
Nightmare, I think, is going to have a rough season this year, unfortunately. There's nobody designed similar to it, like Huge and Deep Six. I don't know if Nightmare can find its place anymore. It's now being pulverized in the corner by both heads on the Two-Headed Death Flamingo.
Yeah, they're just going to town on Nightmare, unfortunately. You know, I mean, it's an older design, so I get it, but at the same time, it is kind of sad.
Yeah, I think time has unfortunately caught up to the once upon a time most fearsome weapon in BattleBots.
Ooh, and there's a... Oh, they took a wheel off a Nightmare there. That was quite a snipe for sure.
I think Two-Headed Death Flamingo should leave Nightmare, and it looks like they're going to. I don't know if Nightmare can ride itself without the wheel on that side.
Yeah, it looks like they can bounce around a little bit, but that's it. Oh, no, Two-Headed Death Flamingo still going back at it. They're just like, you know what, let's keep this going.
Two-Headed Death Flamingo wants the dominant knockout here, perhaps needing to show itself after a third round loss.
Yeah, they got something to prove for sure. And Nightmare, all they can do really is watch, I guess.
Nightmare mostly hopeless here. 20 seconds left. I don't think it's gonna go to at least not a KO by a count out.
Yeah, maybe a control board, but even then, with less than 10 seconds left on the clock, I do indeed think that this fight is gonna go to the judges, and it appears to be the case. But I don't think this should be too hard. Two-Headed Death Flamingo came out the gate aggressive, and I think that's exactly what you had to do to face a big vertical spinner such as Nightmare. Just kept getting underneath them and just flipping them all around. Nightmare was just bouncing around like a ball. It was pretty crazy. it was a lot of fun to watch. That said, Two-Headed Death Flamingo was absolutely dominant in this fight, even taking off a wheel off of Nightmare, which is honestly pretty impressive for a Hammerbot. This fight went the full 3 minutes, but I don't think the judges are going to have a difficult time deciding this one. And the 3 judges have come to a unanimous decision. The winner is Two-Headed Death Flamingo, which is kind of what I expected. Good job. Two-Headed Death Flamingo returns to the surface with an even 1-1 record, and Nightmare goes down to 0-2, unfortunately, but they've still got 2 more fights. We'll see where that goes. Two-Headed Death Flamingo definitely made a statement, though, I feel, and I think that they can make some big moves if they can do well in their next 2 fights. But moving on, we have our next matchup. We have Overkill and we have Sharko. Both of these robots are sitting at pretty embarrassing losses. We have Overkill, who lost to Retrograde pretty quickly by just getting dismantled. And then we have Sharko, whose first fight didn't even make the regular show, where they fought Nuts too, and honestly not a whole lot happened. So we're gonna have to see which one of these robots can rise up and improve upon their lacking season. We'll have to see. Let's do. Here we have Sharko and Overkill. 2 very interesting builds, and I'm not sure what to expect. I mean, Sharko lost its first fight to Nuts 2 in an untelevised match, and Overkill got bodied by Retrograde pretty bad, unfortunately, and they're just going for it.
Overkill was completely dissected by Retrograde.
Oh yeah, they were dismantled, which, I mean, fair enough. Retrograde's looking great this year, but Overkill's looking pretty good right now with their good driving and trying to just get hits on the Sharko. I don't know if that knife can do any significant damage, but it's definitely possible. They're upside down now.
Something like Sharkoptery had made up of so many little pieces and joints in between them. If anything, anything that Overkill's weapon is going to do well against something like Sharko, where it can get in between the seams of the bodywork.
Oh yeah, for sure. So hopefully they can actually deal some damage. They're getting some good hits in though, and having some good control. They're back on their normal configuration, and there's not much Sharko can do. It doesn't seem like it can lift the robot. It can't really bite around Overkill's awkward shape. It's just gonna tail whip it, I guess. Okay.
Tail whip are about the best thing I think Sharko's gonna be able to do.
Oh, and he takes pieces off of Sharko's face. He just chops him up. Sharko actually gets a flip there. Sharko's missing half of his face.
Sharko has been chopped into sushi almost by Overkill. Overkill continuing to beat at the wheel of Sharko, trying to get it off.
Right you are.
Trying to take the rest of the face off now.
Oh, nice hit there. Oh, and Sharko almost bites onto the blade, but... Oh, and Overkill takes off more pieces. And a wheel!
Sharkoptery being bisected here by Overkill. Revenge.
Yes, Sharko's not looking good. Sharko is not looking good here, unfortunately. They're gonna have to make some big moves. They're gonna have to get Overkill out of the arena or something, because it's not working in their favor for sure.
Overkill, I think, trying to take that tail off.
Yeah, they're determined. They want more pieces off. And oh, there's a hit, slow motion. Oh, and they take off another piece. That was Overkill is spending space and time right now.
Interesting attack and what has been an interesting fight. Gonna go to the judges, I believe.
Yeah, unless one of them can get that actual KO shot, but I mean, with what, it's now 10 seconds left on the clock, I don't think that... Oh, no, more pieces taken off of Sharko. I don't think the judges are going to have a hard time judging this, but They're
Oh, they
gonna have
either-
to. This fight is over. Overkill was pretty aggressive right out the gate. Just kept slamming into Sharko and using the Rambo knife to make moves, and it really didn't look like Sharko could do a whole lot of anything to defend itself or have any offensive plays, and that's unfortunate because the same thing happened in their first fight. But at least we got some Overkill redemption, which you love to see. Overkill just chasing after Sharko and just wailing on him with the Rambo knife, which is amazing. Probably my favorite part of the fight was when Overkill smashed Sharko's face in with the Rambo knife and took off a lot of pieces. Look at that. That's just brutal. And even taking off a wheel eventually. I don't think the judges are going to have a hard time determining this fight, but you never know when it goes to the judges, so we'll have to see. Oh man, look at that. Wheel just went flying off. Sharko didn't stand a chance. And we have a unanimous decision. The 3 judges have ruled this battle in the favor of Overkill. I'm not surprised with that at all. Good job, Overkill. Overkill moves on to 1-1, and I still think that they have to prove themselves in a challenge to get ahead. Sharko is at 0-2, and they're one of the bottom runners for sure this season. They're struggling. But I'm looking forward to seeing them fight again. Overkill hopefully will make some nice waves. For our next fight, we have the 4 Horsemen, and we have Petunia, 2 robots who are currently sitting at 0-1, and they want to improve their record. So let's just get straight into the fight. I can't wait. Here we have Petunia facing off against the 4 Horsemen, 2 robots that are 0-1. 4 Horsemen losing to Lucky in their first fight. But Petunia losing to Apollo in a split decision. But Petunia is definitely taking advantage. They're pushing 4 Horsemen into the wall.
That Buttercup all the way on the right over there.
Yeah, Buttercup's just vibing. I don't know what they're doing. But we got Petunia pushing robots into the wall, and it's quite fast. Yeah, they're making moves. Oh, we got Famine coming in. Oh, they're just hitting each other now. That's one way to do it. Petunia just trying their best. They're trying to take out Famine now, and Pestilence is just, or War, or I don't know, all these things have different names.
That's Pestilence coming in, that is.
I think that's War, Famine. Oh, and they just took off a piece of the robot, okay.
Yeah, War just lost part of its weapon support. There, Buttercup trying to get finally found its way into this fight. Just hit Petunia in the back and then now run away.
Oh, it looks like Famine just lost its spinner. Oh, that Buttercup's still going for it. And oh, Petunia lost its claw, so now they gotta capitalize on this. Now Petunia's just a glorified wedge robot.
Good hit there from War, ripping the beak right off of Petunia.
Oh, now Buttercup's like, yeah, now it's a level playing field. Wedge versus wedge, baby, you know.
War being pulverized into the wall.
Oh, but now Petunia's upside down. Now they're not even a wedge, they're just kind of there.
Petunia has no reliable way really to right itself.
Yeah, but I mean with 30 seconds left, it is still looking good for Petunia, for sure. Because they've been pretty dominant this whole fight. I mean, look at the damage they've done to their opponents. Oh, but Buttercup just knocks it onto its face, and I don't think he can self-right.
Petunia usually be able to get over if it had the claw, but it doesn't.
Petunia's being counted out. I think it's done.
It's gonna
the
be
Four
the
Horsemen.
claw.
I think that it took. Yeah, the Four Horsemen just won by knockout at the last second. Right out the gate, Petunia was very dominant, just pushing the little robots into the wall, and it was quite a joy to see, to be honest. It stayed aggressive, and it just kept moving, and even caused the Four Horsemen to do some damage to each other, which was pretty glorious to see. One of them even lost its spinner. But, unfortunately, the fight made a turn when one of them ended up cleaving off Petunia's crusher, making it just a simple wedge bot. And then Buttercup was the real star of the show, just knocking Petunia on its face and getting that late fight KO. Quite impressive, and the Four Horsemen move on to 1-1, and Petunia has to figure out what to do from here. I would call this an upset for sure. And it was glorious, but what's even more glorious is our main event. We have Bite Force, we have Carbide. Let's take a look at them. This is a fight that I'm sure fans are clamoring for. We have Bite Force, who is one of the greatest combat robots ever made, with that vertical spinner and that very practical design. They're coming off strong. Their first fight was in our main event in the first episode against Sub-Zero, who, as you know, is the current reigning champ of Armageddon Season 1. And they took it to Sub-Zero. They kicked their butt, and you love to see it. Bite Force is making waves. I mean, last season they made the top 16. They bowed out early due to getting flipped onto an awkward position by Hydra, but Bite Force is definitely a front runner and could very well look at a high seed if they can manage to squeak out this victory. They face off against Carbide, which is a Robot Wars legend, and in their first fight they fought Ice Wave, and I believe they took them out in under a minute. It was destructive and it was beautiful. That weapon is scary, and while Bite Force does have an anti-horizontal configuration, I think that they're going to have to figure out a good strategy to take out Carbide. But let's get into it. It's main event time. We have our main event. We have Carbide. We have Bite Force. Battle of the Champions. Robot Wars versus BattleBots. And I don't know what to think of this. Oh. Carbide doing an interesting strategy.
Already clipped part of the front plow off of Bite Force.
Bite Force gets a flip there. Bite Force is
now being juggled.
Oh, but he takes off a big chunk of Bite Force, including most of the wedge. This is not looking good for Bite Force. Oh, he takes off the rest of the spinner. Bite Force is a push bot now, pretty much, and I don't even think they have any wedge. They're just a rammer, basically. I mean, they're definitely driving this fight very well, but without the rammer, I don't know if they can win this fight unless they get Carbide out of the arena. Oh, Jay almost just did.
Like that, almost. Carbide almost ricocheted itself off of debris out of the arena. That would have been
very unfortunate. But Carbide is Carbide's looking scary. I mean, they keep this up, they're gonna end up up, and Carbide is 2-0. Bite Force definitely had the right idea. Avoid the spinner and just try to push Carbide around, and it was working for a bit. They were very aggressive and sent Carbide flying a few times, which made me think that they might have had the fight in their favor, but that weapon just did damage every time it made contact on Bite Force, and eventually took off the wedge, and there really wasn't much defense from there. And then that's where the fight made a turn. Bite Force's entire weapon got ripped off by Carbide, and while they did stay aggressive and did put up a good fight, they just couldn't keep up that momentum, and unfortunately Carbide Control Board KO'd them, and it's not a bad loss for Bite Force. They're at 1-1, but I would argue that they're perhaps one of the stronger 1-1s with a win over the champ and a good loss against who might be a front runner for the #1 seed if they keep up this momentum. I mean, Carbide's looking fantastic. They got 2 wins under their belt, both against pretty good robots and both with pretty dominant knockouts. That said, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're made of in future fights. And that's it for this episode of BattleBots Armageddon Season 2. Tune in next time for 8 more action-packed fights. Same bot time, same bot channel. Stay famous, y'all.